Good morning. Today we're going to talk about food packaging, and I've got some fun activities for you this week to test out some different packaging materials. Hopefully, you have fun with it, and we'll talk at the end. But let me know if there are some materials you don't have. We can be creative and figure something out. So, we're going to talk about the reasons why food has packaging and why that has increased. To look at the goals of packaging food, understand a little bit about food labeling, and then look at some common examples of food packaging. So over the last 50 years, the way that we buy food has changed. It used to be like things were in bulk, natural state. Like if you look at back in the early 1900s, people would go to the general store and they'd, pick things out of tubs or bins. Now everything is sold in a package. Okay, and there's a lot of different reasons for that, but we'll go through that here coming up. So, one reason for a package is protection. Food products often travel really far from where they're produced and manufactured until where they're actually consumed or bought by the consumers. So, the packages have to be stored in warehouses, they have to be transported in semis or train cars, and so they have to be protected during that process. Most of the time, they're stacked in warehouses before being sold. And all of these different stages of the product may cause damage if there's careless handling or changes in storage conditions like light, humidity, and temperature. About packages traveling on a semi through the upper Midwest in the middle of January. If the semi is not heated, those materials are going to be exposed to the temperature. So, just important to think about protecting the food. The purpose of packaging is to prevent physical damage from knocking, shaking, or crushing, to prevent contamination from microorganisms, pollution, or vermin like, mice, rats, other little insects, to protect against dehydration or dampness, to protect the nutritional and sensory characteristics, to keep the product in peak condition, and to help increase the product's shelf life, to make it last longer. So for protection, the aim of the packaging is to contain the product and keep it intact. So if you look at this ground beef up here, nobody wants to buy a package of hamburger where like some of the juice is dripping out of the package or the package is stained and you can see that the juice obviously dripped out at some point. So liquid pot products cannot leak. Dry materials like flour cannot let flour out. It sometimes is necessary to design the packaging so that it's shaped to contain a particular food, like an egg box has to be shaped a certain way to contain eggs and make them protected against breaking. Packages are useful for labeling. They provide a visually stimulating look at what's inside. The package has to include the name of the food, the weight or in volume. In the United States, it comes in two measurements: common US household measurement, which is usually ounces, and then it also has to come in the metric equivalent or grams. The list of weights in descending order of weight need to be on the package. So the ingredients list is usually on the back. That list, the first item on the list is the most of that ingredient shows up the most by weight in that product. The last item on the list is the least by weight. There should be instructions on how the food should be stored, the date when the food should be eaten, if there are genetically modified ingredients or allergens, the name and address of the manufacturer distributor, and then the nutrition information has to be on the back panel. The manufacturer can choose to provide additional information like how to prepare or cook, where the barcode, all of those things could be added. The overall design of the packaging, from its shape to the style, indicate the type of product that it contains. It might also contain some graphical tricks to give a sense of quality that it has been handmade, like a picture of grandma serving the food or something like that. There's food assurance schemes that have been developed by legislation just to make sure that you know everything you can about your food. So you might see a red tractor. That's not common in the United States to see this label though, so we're going to keep moving past here. Okay, packaging design. When designing packaging, it's important to consider, is it easy to handle and open? We've all encountered packages where it's impossible to get open or our kid struggles. A Capri Sun juice box My kids are finally at the age where they can take the plastic off the straw and stick the straw through the hole, and usually do so with success and not spill juice all over. But companies really have to think about the design. Is it a convenient shape? Can it be stacked? What colors are going to be used on the packaging? What size of print should be used? Will it be economical to produce? And what about environmental considerations? How long is it going to take for that package to go away? We're going to keep moving on here. So some different examples of food packaging. Food cans. Cans were traditionally made from a tin plate sheet, but now more commonly aluminum is used. You've seen all of these cans. You have them in your cupboard. Usually inside, the sheet is coated with a lacquer to prevent the can from rusting and reacting with the content, especially acidic foods. So it's going to keep the food safe from the metal. Paper, board, and foil. All of these are commonly used. Cardboard is used for packaging. It's often coated with a wax of polythene to prevent interaction with the contents. Most paper and cardboard should be discarded before heating, but some products that are frozen on specially treated boards might be allowed to cook those in microwave ovens. I'm thinking of like a Hot Pocket. I think there's a sleeve with a little bit of almost a metal in the inside, not a metal, but like an aluminum sheen that you can use to cook a Hot Pocket. Foil trays are suitable for both freezing and heating in conventional ovens. Then we go on to plastics. Food packaging uses a wide range of both rigid and flexible packaging materials. Polythene, polyamide, nylon, these are all examples of plastics that are used in packaging. We get into more rigid plastic, polyethylene, terephthalate, PET is a rigid plastic that's used for bottles. It's pretty lightweight and it allows the fizz to be kept in carbonated drinks. So like soda bottles, juice bottles, those kind of plastic bottles would use PET plastic. Polystyrene is used for trays and insulated containers. It keeps cold things cold and hot things hot. And then we move on to cellulose films. There's a lot of times where our package is in a tub and we've got this cellulose film over the top, or we've got a product where you can see the inside and that little window is cellulose film. Glass has been used for a very long time, but I think that they've found that plastic is a little more friendly to use. It's less easy to break. But there are some products that just still come in a glass jar. Jams, pickles, olives, things like that. We see pasta sauces; those tend to still come in glass. Sorry. And then we get to modified atmosphere packaging. We talked a little bit about that last week, but this is a technique used to lengthen the shelf life of foods. The air surrounding the food is changed. Sometimes gases are injected, and it keeps the food fresh longer. It's commonly used for meat, fish, fruits, and vegetables. So if you've ever wondered how that chopped up salad lasts for a week and a half inside that bag, it's probably because it's had modified atmosphere packaging done to it. So we spent a little time today talking about different kinds of packaging. This week, you are going to do two different assignments. First, you're going to get a package out of your cupboard and take a look at it. Work through the worksheet that I created and think about how well it protects and does all of the different things that we talked about today. The second assignment you're going to do should be some fun. You're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you do not have the ingredients for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, send me an email and we'll try to figure out something different that you could do. Really, any kind of sandwich would work. If you have lunch meat, ham, just peanut butter, not jelly, any of those things would work. But you're going to make one sandwich and you're going to cut it into 4 equal squares. In each one of the squares, you are going to try to use a different kind of packaging method. And then I've got a little test in there. You should do different things to see how well it stands up. Okay? If you have questions on the lab, let me know. I'm happy to help. But it should be a fun way to test out food packaging at your home. And hopefully the sandwich is somewhat edible at the end if you did a good job with your packaging. If you have any questions, as always, shoot me an email.